Terroir. I'm Simon Jacob, your host for this episode from Jerusalem. There are rare opportunities I get to interview truly special guests. Chef Avner Guzman provided me with one of those moments. A kosher chef who throughout his life has strived to raise the bar and dream beyond his current accomplishments, focusing on creating a future he already can envision and taste. Born in a small seaside town of Barcelona in eastern Venezuela, Chef Guzman got his start in food preparation in his family's own restaurant, but soon traveled to England to work interning in various kitchens, always observing and learning from their diverse staff. He finally decided that if he was going to truly pursue the food industry, he needed an education. So he asked, "What is the best cooking school in London?" The clear response was Cordon Bleu. So he went in person to enroll. While there, he saw that they had many locations in the world, and he asked what was their best location where he could receive the best education. They responded their Paris location. So he asked for his money back and traveled to Paris to enroll. Just to point out, Chef Avner at that time spoke Spanish, some broken English, but absolutely no French. Through his strong will, incredible work ethic, and determination, he enrolled and completed his Cordon Bleu training. The following is a conversation with my friend, Chef Avner Guzman. If you're driving, please continue while listening to focus on the road. If you're home, relax and grab a glass of wonderful kosher wine and enjoy. Welcome to the Kosher Terroir. I'm here with a good friend, a guest, Chef Avner Guzman. Wonderful to have you in Jerusalem. It's really wonderful to have you in Jerusalem.
Thank you. Yes, it's always wonderful to be in Jerusalem, especially at this time of the year, Sukkot.
Yeah.
And thank you for the invitation.
Pleasure. Really a pleasure. And also, Avner brought along a friend, Shia Stern. So it's a pleasure to have you here in the studio with me.
Thank you for having me as well. Excited to be here.
The plan was to be in the sukkah, which we can try to go up to in a few minutes, but it was drizzling a little bit in the sukkah, so I thought it would probably be better to be in the studio with us. Actually, we should taste this first. This is quite a special wine. It was made by Yaakov Oria and a group of us who participated in it, called SOB, Special Oria Blend, before people start thinking of other notes from
meanings.
Other meanings. This is the 2018, which happens to be a lovely blend. It's Carignan based with a Petit Syrah, a Syrah, a Pinot Noir, and a Grenache going down in percentages. So let's just take a shot at it. Let's try it.
Amen.
It's really lovely wine. It's a good red wine that we could really use some meat with, something more solid, but it's fun to taste it.
Avner, what would you pair with this wine?
My brain is starting to work.
Good.
But I need
I'll give you a few minutes.
Yes.
Give you a few
two
minutes.
Or three more.
Sips?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take your time.
So far it's excellent.
So you brought up a question, Shia, you.
Yes.
Brought up a question downstairs. And as we were talking about wine, you asked a question about it. So I said, hey, let's get on the podcast and let's talk about it, because I think this is a question that a lot of people have. So what was the question again?
You were mentioning 2 Yaakov Oria orange wines that you had made. And I wanted to know the difference between a natural wine and an orange wine.
Okay. So a natural wine, or it's another term that they use for natural wines, biodynamic wine. So biodynamic wine is a wine that's made starting in the vineyard using natural insect repellents rather than chemical insecticides, as well as natural products within the process, like natural yeasts. In a biodynamic wine, they actually harvest at a specific time. They put wine into fermentation tanks. They move it from fermentation tanks into barrels, and they only disturb those barrels when there is no moon. And the reason why is because what they found is that the moon creates a gravitational pull, and that gravitational pull not only moves water in the ocean, but you can actually, if you do it properly, and I'm not an expert on biodynamic wines, but if you do it properly, you don't even have to filter the wines, because the sediment stays at the bottom of the barrels as you're pulling the wine off the top of it, as long as you do it at certain times. So the moon is part of it. Part of it is also that the actual process is sustainable. In some instances, they don't really like you to use pumps. In some instances, they do use pumps, and in some instances, they use just gravity feed for wines. So there's a number of plays on that. One of the kosher wines that is really focused on being biodynamic is LV. Moses Cohen and David Cohen. Actually, Moses and David are the marketing people behind it. They're Moses' wife is the actual winemaker, who's really good, and they focus, all of their wines are biodynamic. But you also asked the difference between orange wines and biodynamic.
Yes.
And orange wines are totally different. Orange wines can be totally non-biodynamic. What gives a wine color, the difference between a red and a white wine, a lot of people feel that a red wine is made from red grapes and a white wine is made from white grapes. That is not true, not entirely true. A red wine is a wine that is left where it's squeezed, and the juice is left with the skins. In that instance, that's what gives it the red color, and it also gives it the tannins and everything else that's with it. A white wine is typically squeezed. Everything that isn't juice is thrown, and they just take the juice and ferment the juice. Okay? So in one instance, they're fermenting it with all of the skins. The other instance, they're fermenting it without all of the skins. Now, when you're making red wine, one of the rules is that you've gotta absolutely, like now you're seeing wines that are clusters, full cluster wines and things like that are focused on making sure that the skins are all together with it, and it's not processed without that. When you're making white wines and you have to throw the skins away, it's kind of almost like, wait a minute, if I'm trying to get the best expression of these grapes, don't I want to include the skins? But if I include the skins, then all of a sudden I'm making a red wine. So the difference is that if you leave it with exposure to the skins, what we call skin macerated wines, then what happens is the wine will get a tinge of color, a golden or orange color in some instances, and the name that they noted for that was orange wines. Now, orange wines are different. Orange wines are very different than white wines. They taste a lot more like reds. Because of the tannins that are imparted because of the skins, and also because it's kind of a fuller, more robust flavor. But it's also a flavor that if you're an old-time wine drinker, you might not necessarily be able to deal with.
Why is that?
The best way it was explained to me by Yaakov Oria, your brain creates boxes for different flavors. So I have a flavor that I've gotten from this wine, And I know what a Grenache tastes like, and I know what a Viognier tastes like, and a Carignan tastes like. All of a sudden, when you get a flavor like an orange wine, there isn't a box to put it into.
You have no reference.
There's no reference to it, and because of that lack of reference, you end up it's like a discord in your mind as to what you're tasting. So that's it's an interesting thing, but I'll be honest, as the food flavors have gotten more intense, as food's gotten more Mediterranean in style, as food has gotten more, really taste driven, even meats with fat are more intense. Just regular wine, for me, doesn't cut it. Having an orange wine with a spicy fish or a spicy chicken wings or what have you is awesome. It's just crazy good.
Sometimes it's very difficult to pair, for example, chicken wings. So difficult, so hard to pair with wine.
With an orange wine, it's like heaven. It's like heaven. Sometimes people pair with chicken wings beer, as an example, because it's got a lot of yeast in it and what have you. That works pretty well. But orange wines with things like chicken wings or spicy Spanish food or what have you are just crazy. So because of that, I think because of the palate moving towards a food that is more tasty and more robust and more expressive in the palate, then I think orange wines have become more adopted because of that. And, I could be wrong, but I think
do you think that orange wine is going to be just a trend, or they are here to stay longer?
Is spicy food going to be a trend, or is it here to stay longer?
No, it's going to stay longer.
If it's going to stay longer, then orange wines are going to stay longer too, because they're really built for each other.
Okay, and then you said that there is for people who are used to drink wine, it's like there's a new reference on your brand for orange wine. But what about the big community that is not yet into wine?
Okay, so as an example, you've got foods that are there for a much larger community. As an example, steaks and potatoes and what have you. I think that they meet the needs of a kind of an older, more established community. That's their taste. As you're introducing new tastes, you're picking up new customers, new younger people. Some of the older ones, like myself, I'm not a youngster, but I'm open enough to try and like things. Some people can't accommodate to that, but on the ones that can, I believe that it's an introduction to a whole new population of people. In fact, I think that was one of the reasons why a lot of younger people weren't picking up wines. If everything was a cab based or Merlot based, I want a cocktail, I want to try this, I want to try that. They want different flavors. They don't want the things that their parents drank. Though Scotch seems to hang in there for a lot of young people too, but that said, I think because of the food trend and this new kind of modern Mediterranean, South American, Asian fusion that's going on, I think that orange wines are definitely there. And even some of the plain whites being much more robust and fuller and more acid based, I think that there's a tremendous place for them. In fact, it even is much, much more than where the sweet wines. I categorize wines as 3 categories: red, white, and blue. Blue is the Moscato bottles, and red and white is like red and white wine. So, and what I find is There are people in different places with it. I don't think spicy food lends itself to like a Moscato, as an example. A sweet Moscato. People aren't going to go there with that. That's why they want cocktails, or they want something with, tomato juice or other things mixed in with the cocktail that'll go with it. But
I'm just wondering here. It's impressive. Like 20 years ago, today we are here in a conversation about kosher wine, because now we have a real industry. And like 20 years ago, it was like crazy to imagine that there were people, regular people like us, speaking and having a discussion about wine. And now we are like into a very, very specific niche of a new trend that maybe came to be longer. So and honestly, that's what has been helping out. For me, the evolution of wine is what's been helping people like me in the industry. It's been
helping you with regard to food.
Yes.
Right. So that's an interesting play, and I think that's an interesting play on both sides. I think that what you're doing with food is helping the industry in wine, and in both directions.
For me, I see the wine like that. They're taking me at the hand and then bring me up, because when you try the complexity of the wine, when you try, when you met people that are enthusiastic and then very, very, very into this world, so I have no option that going in the same direction. So we switched from drinking very sweet wine like 25 years ago, and then we are having today all kind of Grand Cru, all kind of amazing wines from all around the world. So we have every place where they're producing good wine, so there is kosher wine. So I mean, this has been very benefic for me, for restaurants, and for chefs around the world, having just people like you.
Well, so let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about where you came from, because I brought you on and we started talking about wine right away. And actually, you're both foodies. You're both food driven people. And talk to me a little bit about, where did you start from? How did you start? Where did you start?
I started in a professional way, working in England in a non-kosher place.
So you were born in England?
No. I was born in Venezuela. Okay. So my mother language is Espanol, Spanish.
We're in Caracas?
No, I grew up in a small city called Barcelona.
Okay, I know. On the on the East Coast.
Exactly. That was very creative for the guy who came from Spain. He came from Barcelona.
Yep.
He landed there. He said, okay, there is a beach. We're going to call this place Barcelona. Nueva Barcelona. So, yes, I was born in Barcelona. When I was a kid, my father had a restaurant just in front of the Caribbean Sea. Wow. So, part of my childhood was watching this kind of entropy around me, cooking and serving people and helping people. So I was not a stranger. I was not foreigner to this idea of choosing this path. I moved to England trying to learn English. So if you have any complaint about my English today, go to talk to the British people. And then from then I started to cooking to be like in professional way in England. And then I decided I have to go. I embraced cooking like was natural, was like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I remember when I make the decision, and still today is one of the best things that happened to me. So I have the same passion, I have the same strain, and I enjoy like the first time cooking. So cooking is not work, it's not a job, it's life. I went to culinary school.
You went to like a minor culinary school, like nobody knows about. It's
yes. It's a tiny school that has more than 130 years old.
Yes.
Called Cordon Bleu. Yeah.
Only the best food school in the world. I don't know how did you end up picking that? You were in England and you said, let's go.
I was in England and I said to myself, listen, I believe in education. I think education is the best investment that you can do on yourself. So I said, I don't want to go to a place, with all the respect that every single school have, but I wanted for me only the best. So I enrolled myself I found that Cordon Bleu was the best school in England. And then I said, okay, among all the Cordon Bleus that you have in the world, which one is the best? So in London, they said me, Paris. I said, okay, can you give me back my money? And right now, so same day, I contact Cordon Bleu Paris, and I organized, take me like 3 months to organize everything, and I moved to Paris. I moved to France only to go to this culinary school, and was one of the best experience of my life.
So you were speaking what language?
And no, when I arrived to France, not French at all.
So you were speaking in Spanish, Espanol, and
mal English, bad English.
Okay.
Or broken English, and no French.
Wow.
But a lot of determination.
It must have been.
Yes. And then I made it. So I went to culinary school. I succeed finishing, like, not among the best ones, and then I get a job I get a stage. And I don't like to talk about this because that does have to be a subject for another podcast. Michelin-star restaurants.
Okay.
Everyone, if you peel a potato in a Michelin, these people have to learn this, please, in the Jewish community. Doesn't mean if I open oysters in a Michelin-star restaurant, doesn't mean that you are a Michelin-star chef. I've been a lot of publicity all around. This Michelin-star, that doesn't exist. Michelin-star belongs to the place. And then it's another world. We are really, really far away from that. Maybe one day, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 20 years.
I'm told there's a kosher restaurant in Barcelona.
Cierta. Am I pronouncing that wrong?
Okay, that's different because it's a restaurant that is no kosher and have a kosher facility.
Yes.
And then the non-kosher restaurant has one Michelin star.
I think it's one Michelin star. Put it there. You can put it there. Would you like some?
Of course. So we cannot say that the kosher spot has one Michelin star. They are prep. Let's imagine that I hire like Pierre Gagné, and then I bring him to Jerusalem, and then he's gonna cook special meal. I don't know, for an like charity event.
Right.
So we can say that this Pierre Gagné, that he has, I don't know, you have to be like 30 Michelin star because I have multiple restaurants all around the world. But that doesn't mean that the place where he came to cook, because he's...
So if he came to my house, I don't become a Michelin star restaurant?
No, you don't become a Michelin star restaurant. So that doesn't mean that we have been improving the level of cooking, as I said, in the last 20 years. 20 years before, there's not a single fellow Jew who wanted to become chef. There were people who wanted to become doctors, lawyers. Now people are allowing themselves to dream to become a chef because there is certain respect now to the profession, to the career of being a chef. Why we ended talking about Michelin-star?
Well, no. So what I was going to say was, you went for a stage for
I went internship to
L'Osmos.
No. Before the Osmos, that's it's not there because I don't like to talk about it.
Okay.
Was a really, really hard experience. So it was 3 Michelin stars. I didn't end like a long time. It was very, 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 very tough. The only thing that you can learn there is that you're able to, when you think that you have limits, the limit that you have in your mind is not true. So you can go further. That's the only good thing I get from there. But then, now talking about good things, I went to Osmos. Osmos had the level of minimum 1 Michelin star. And was, until today, one of the best experience of my life. I met there, the chef is Johnny Saada, a friend, became a friend.
He's only like 10 years older than you. Not even 10 years older than you, I don't think. Maybe 10 years.
He's very talented.
Right.
He's kind of genius. He became a little bit famous. He went to cooking shows. He has been writing like 2 or 3 books. He has to have like, I don't know, 5 restaurants in Paris.
Yeah.
All successful, non-kosher. Let's say kosher friendly. I don't know if we are allowed to say that.
You could say it. What does it mean? Kosher friendly.
Kosher friendly
is like kosher ingredients without hashgacha.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's
totally kosher ingredients.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to good conscience.
Okay.
So, and Osmos was?
Osmos was totally fully kosher. Yeah.
Osmos was a totally kosher.
Fully kosher. So we had like, I can't remember, like, just imagine doing foie gras on 3 or 5 textures different, like foie gras creme brulee, ice cream foie gras, grilled foie gras was like crazy. He is, and still today I inspire myself from his ideas. Johnny Sada is like for me, it's a reference.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, and then I work in a bunch of restaurants there, like Kavod, L'Atelier de Lis. Some of them I was just consulting, Bazaar, Maestro. So
these are all kosher restaurants.
All kosher restaurants. So I went after Osmos. I went fully kosher. So just kosher. So I needed for Shabbat, for so.
Is there somebody who turned you on in the kosher world? Is there a rabbi who turned you on, or
I have to say that my process was a little bit weird. I had personal situations who drove me close to religion. So I started to ask myself, should I do this? Should I do this? In order to, you are looking for stuff, you are dreaming, having stuff, or asking, praying. And then I started to ask. The first time I went to a kollel was like Mars for me, was like all the world was. And then I started there's a guy who invited me Shabbat to his house, a kollel man. And then they are always raising money for the kollel. He said, come Shabbat. And then he said, I want you to help the kollel monthly. Are you able to? I said, listen, yes, but I have to have something in return. How do you say?
In return?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, okay, if you want, you can once per week, and then you go to a shiur with a rabbi. I have a rabbi who is gonna fit for you perfect. I said, okay. Tuesday morning, I go to the kollel. The rabbi has big stuff on his finger. He caught himself cooking. Big foodie. The rabbi is a big foodie. And then he doesn't know that. Then I asked him what's happened. He said, I was cooking big ribs. I said, do you know that what they do what my job? No, I'm a chef. He was so excited. And then I remember clearly was the first perek of Mesilat Yesharim. Yesod HaChasidut Beshoresh HaAvodah. And that expression for me was like, that shiur I remember forever. And then since that day, I started to go every single Tuesday. What's happened? 1 month after I started to learn with this rabbi, the restaurant where I was working, there was a leak, water.
Yeah.
And then the whole ceiling fell down. Boom. They sent us home, fully paid. For 1 year, I was totally free with the full payment, and I had nothing to do. I started to go to the kollel from the morning until the afternoon late with this rabbi. His name is Shemuel Levi. It's Mekora Beracha. It's my friend. Is my rabbi. Shaya knows him.
I feel like only in Paris do you find a foodie Rosh Kollel. Nowhere else.
Yeah.
And then that changed my life.
That's what amazes me, because like to go to school in Paris for food, it's like the center of food in the world. I'm going to get a lot of people who are going to complain about that statement, but it's true. I mean, it's like really that's the center of creative food.
I think it's when you write down something, you become a reference.
Yeah.
In history, we said that French people learn to cook from Italians. When the Medici moved from Italy to France, they bring a bunch of chefs and cooks. So, what we said is that French people start to learn. French people actually, they pick up from, maybe I'm gonna have trouble after this, they pick up from the Italians how to cook, and they pick up from the Russians how to serve. So if you see, just picture these films where in the French banquet you have all the food served. That was the French service. Everything in one spot is on the table. But the Russian service was courses. 1, 2, 3. So they take this structure from Russians. So, but guess what? The first who codified, the first who write down recipes, structures, etiquette, how to do the law of gastronomy were the French. So even if the ideas, just imagine we are talking about food or wine, and then I take all the information you are giving to me, and tomorrow I'm going to write down a book about orange wine, about the process of the difference between red wine and white wine. And then I'm going to write this book. 10 years from today, people are going to give credit to me, not to you. Even if I get the information for you, no one is going to think about you. So the first that codifies something is the thing that's write down something is going to get all the... So French, they were clever enough. That's why they are a reference. But I have to say today that Spain, in order of creativity, they are really, 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 really good. Spanish.
That's interesting. Even more than the French?
For me, point of view of creativity, yes.
Cool. That's good to know. This is...
So we were talking about Cordon Bleu. Cordon Bleu, I love Cordon Bleu. Mm-hmm. It's the alma mater. But every year, till COVID now, I went to a place called Basque Culinary Center. It's in the Basque country, in Spain. And have to be the equivalent of Harvard for chef.
Harvard. Yep.
Yes, is crazy. What you learn there and the network you're able to make there is crazy. And then,
Are there any other kosher chefs who go there?
no, I don't know.
I don't think so.
Not a single one that has this
Yeah.
drive of curiosity.
Cool. Very cool. Very interesting. So you also cook for different families. That's one of the things that you do. You go around the world cooking for families.
Yes. If the definition of around the world in the Jewish world is Jerusalem, Paris, New York, the Caribbean, yes.
Hong Kong?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Yes, I have mainly today I have two activities. It's like I own a restaurant in Paris called Ethnican. That is a kosher restaurant that is a very, very interesting concept. And I have as well a company called Kosher Experience. And with Kosher Experience, I travel the world doing private kosher events for small families or for like vacations everywhere. So last summer I went to Portofino with the family and to Saint-Jacques-Cap-Ferrand. Beautiful experience. Not easy, but beautiful experience. So now, thanks to all this desire of people to experience good food with good wine, so I'm able to, because it's not just making a steak and just throwing some potatoes in the oven. It's just with all this knowledge, information, experience that I've been gathering all around, so we're able to give people the opportunity to experience. So, and the wine is helping me out.
So let me ask you a question. What sort of experimentation do you do with these families? What sort of things can you do that are new and different and what have you?
The job of private chef has two parts. The first part is you're cooking, and the second part you're a therapist. You have to understand the psychology of people in order to give them what they want. Not what they say they want, you have to read the thinking, the behaves, the way how they act, and then because sometimes they say I don't like this, but saying I don't like this ingredient is they are saying to you I had a very bad experience with this flavor, with this range of flavor, and then I don't want to have it again. But what if you take the same ingredient and then you don't force them, you convince them. Listen, you know where to find the food you like it. Yes, I promise you, you don't like it. I'm gonna prep every single day what you like. Just please give to this ingredient a new opportunity. So to try to erase this bad souvenir that you had with this. And then happens like in 80% or 90% of cases, people became close. Maybe they're not became the best fan of this, the bigger fan of this product, but they're going to try to enjoy and to eat step by step, little by little.
Give me an example. What's an example of that?
Okay. Someone who said, I hate raw fish. I tried raw fish, I cannot say it. And that's happened, that's one, especially for American people. They cannot stand the smell of fish. And then you go, you say some words, and then you use some techniques, of course, to improve or to change. You have to know what's happened. Well, okay. And then people go, try it. And then they said, okay, maybe I'm going to give a second option. There is something beet. I had a client who said, beetroots give me headache. I said, why? When he was a child, their aunt forced him to drink a beet juice because he was sick. He was, I don't know, anemia or something like this. But this souvenir of being forced to do something put him away from this. So in a gentle manner, so you go, you make like a carpaccio. Beet needs acidity. Beet needs texture. Like, just imagine a nice carpaccio, but don't boil your beetroot. Just roast in the oven. When it's done, you're gonna keep all the flavor. You make a nice carpaccio, then a nice drop of acidity. Let's say some preserved lemon, and then a very, very tiny touch of honey, a drizzle, some lemon zest, and some nuts, any nuts that you like. That is enough, because you're gonna have all the ranch. Jacob said we have boxes on the brine, and those boxes that you have the reference of the flavor are linked to an experience. If the range of the flavor, the box of beet is linked to a trauma, for sure you're not going to want to try. So I don't want to say when people came to me, because it sounds like a therapist, but when I try to give people one experience, it's not just cooking. It's not just cooking. It's trying to get into the human being. So the definition of a souvenir, you have, I repeat this all the time, you need two things. You need information, knowledge, and emotion. How many times you were sitting down at the university and people were saying words, and nothing happened there, and then you don't remember. But when, just imagine, the same teacher is giving you information, and then something happened, an explosion, or something dropped, dropped something, and then you're gonna remember. You're gonna make a link between what's happened and the information you have, and then you're gonna build up a souvenir. So cooking is about that. Cooking is 2 days ago, at the place where I'm cooking here in Jerusalem, at the end of the dinner, everyone started to speak about childhood. Why? Because I came out, and that's part of the experience. I don't want to say show, but experience. I came out with a chantilly bomb, and they start to serve people on their dishes. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. It's not 3 Michelin-star experience. But then he said, I remember when I was a kid, I came into I open, and then I take the chantilly, I put in my mouth. And then the Balabai said, can you please put some chantilly on me? Give me chantilly. So this kind...
Tell me what that is again.
Chantilly.
Whipped cream.
Whipped cream.
Whipped cream. Okay.
Thank you, Shaya.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Chantilly, whipped cream.
Whipped cream.
Sorry, I was...
No, you're allowed.
I thought that chantilly was universal.
No, it's not. But
No.
it's okay. But I wanted to clear it up. That's all. So now I understand what you're saying, because I can see that very clearly.
So it's cooking, food, wine goes deep into the spirit of people.
Yeah.
So that's what we do is so important. I mean, I don't know if it's so important, but for me it's very important.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I know you've worked with a lot of different wineries and wine people and what have you. Is there somebody in particular that you've worked with over the years that's been just really amazing to deal with? Any winemakers that you've spoken to? If you haven't, then I got to introduce you to a bunch of people. But
I've been dealing with, basically in Paris, Okay, I have to give name because they're gonna be mad at me.
Yeah.
If I don't say names.
Okay. No, give names. I don't have a problem with that.
So of course, I don't call myself an expert on wine because it's not true. But I love wine. I don't know if you see what I mean.
I see.
I drink wine, I don't know, almost every day. And I just drink your wine I tell you, I need more time to came with an idea.
Yeah.
But I don't want to came with the same idea that everyone comes.
Yeah.
So your wine.
Yeah. The SOB. Yeah.
This, which year?
This is a 2018. So it's very specific.
I was thinking about something made with marrowbone.
Okay.
I mean, but not just marrowbone. Marrowbone in 2 or 3 different textures.
How so? How do you get marrowbone in 2 or 3 different textures?
Okay, that's another different podcast.
Okay. Okay.
So, I'm gonna answer after. So, but
okay,
just
worry.
to keep track on the question you just asked is, first of all, I have my very good friend. I'm not saying about wines. I'm talking about people. Eli from Cantina Giuliano.
Wow. He's Elie Gautier.
Elie Gautier. He is an amazing human being. Sweet guy. Elie, don't believe, ne crois pas que je suis en train de te jeter des fleurs. Don't believe what I'm saying. I've been close to Elie for a long time. So
it's on my bucket list of places that I really want to go with my wife and spend at least the night there and have him cook and also drink the wine. And I'm so looking forward to doing that, but I have yet to do it.
The whole experience.
Yeah.
When each time I'm after one big event, like after Pesach, I was so tired. I said to my wife, "Listen, let's go for a Shabbat, a weekend, to Elie. I know we're gonna drink good wine and eat well, and then relax." So Elie has been a friend for a long time, and then I know his commitment to good things. There is a sound that says "Hayinu kecholmin." He is a dreamer. He is a dreamer, but in a good way. I mean, he imagines something and then he make it happen. So I have such a respect and admiration for this guy. I know other people who make wine, who produce wine. Of course, my good friend Ralph Madet. Just saying Ralph Madet, you know what it's all about. So
he's such a special person. Crazy, incredible person. I love him. We have a mutual love relationship. I'm Sephardi. He's Sephardi Gamke. And also he's Sephardi as well. But he calls me Zaidi. And that name has stuck. And like I'm Sephardi. Like all my grandkids call me Saba. Everybody, I am as far from a Zaidi as possible, but he called me Zaidi. Everybody calls me Zaidi now. But I love him. He's the best.
Ralph, he is
he's a good neshama.
And related to wine, he understand what is. He's serving wine. That's why we have this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
no,
noticed an empty glass.
Don't be sorry for
I noticed an empty glass, so I said,
Ralph, I have to say the only thing, Doctor, I love you. If you're gonna listen this someday, for sure you're gonna listen this. Yeah.
Probably.
I love you.
I did a podcast with him.
I know.
I did a podcast, and it was one of the number 1 podcasts that I've done. I don't, of all the people, he got more followers than anybody else. So
he have something that he has such a strong drive. He wants to do things, and he wants to do things in the right way. That's it. I met David Cohen. David.
From LV.
From LV. I met LV Wines one time at the Kosher Wine Festival. We spent an amazing time at the restaurant. He came, David, and I am big fan of their wines. By the way, he is, he's one of the fully kosher
wineries. Yeah, he's not just part.
This Yaakov from Yatir.
Yeah, Yaakov is. I just had a podcast with him 2 podcasts ago with Yaakov and Eti, but Yaakov from Yatir is also incredible.
They
very
are like a
person.
Amazing people. So
team. Yep.
Yes. Yes, I really enjoyed. When we came to wine, for me there is not competition. There is not people more or less than. I've been working a lot with Menachem Israelovich.
Mm-hmm. Who handles all the French wines for Royal.
Yes. Very good friend. So that's give me access to like a privileged position related to wine, even if I'm not a wine expert. So I'm missing someone.
What's really cool with that is that when I initially started to talk about doing some restaurants or some chefs, people were like, but your podcast's about wine. And people don't realize the connection. There's such an incredible connection between restaurants and wine, especially now in kosher, in the kosher world. They don't realize that most of the kosher wines that are sold in Israel are sold via restaurants. The restaurants in Tel Aviv, even non-kosher restaurants, gravitate to some of these exceptional kosher winemakers because they're looking for good wine. They're looking for special wines. So it's
every single winemaker, I think, someone who has the ability who change grapes into wine is you have to have respect for those people. It's like it's not by chance that the Torah tradition links kedusha or blessing the name of God with wine. So there is something beyond, more mysterious than only physical and chemical reactions. Have to have something. So people who are able to transform grape juice into this elixir have to be special people. I remember I had this small winery called Betel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a Carnelian wine that they make it really, really good. They make it like tastes. What I do often is sometimes at the restaurant I prepare a tasting menu with different years of the wine people have been making. So we were talking about going to a winery. If you have any suggestions, so
I do.
So Shaya asked me, what's the point to go into a winery to try wine? First of all, the experience.
Well, once you've already been to as many as you've been.
Wine is special. Nothing's ever the same. And if you've got a creative winemaker, a lot of the winemakers are doing things that are different. If you've noticed, I'll give you a couple of examples. In Castel, they've created a brand called Raziel. Okay? In Flam, they didn't create a separate brand, but they did create a very specific bottle called White Label. Okay? If you go to Yatir with Yaakov from Yatir, they created a brand called Darom. In each of those instances, they've created something where the winemakers can play. They can have fun. They can be creative. They can do things that are different and new. Because after a while, winemakers get tired and they want to experiment. You don't want to alienate your whole base of wine drinkers. Like, take a wine that you do and that a lot of people love and all of a sudden change it. So what they're looking for is something else, some area outside to be able to play. And Raziel is the place where Castel plays. Raziel is really, it's a Mediterranean blend rather than a Bordeaux blend wine. The same thing happened in Flamme with their white label. It's with their white label. It's Mediterranean blend rather than a Bordeaux, French Bordeaux blend. It's, they're doing things that are different. With Yaakov Oria, he is making some crazy whites that are really different. His latest one has 12. He's taken grapes from a single vineyard, and he's fermented them 12 different ways.
Wow.
Okay? And then he's taken those 12 and blended them together into a single wine. So it's like literally nuts, to be quite honest. It's crazy. But he's gotten, it's so expressive that it gives you, he calls it Yaakov's Playground, and there's some new branded ones that are coming out. I don't know if they're introduced yet, so I don't want to tell you what they are. But there's some new ones that go along those same themes, where it's just, these are whites that almost taste like white Burgundies, which are crazy, rich wines. And they're coming out of Israel. And they're just an enormous amount of effort, but they're just beautiful wines. So it's an interesting thing to see.
You are saying all this stuff, and I just picture myself in this situation. Sometimes you have, like, yes, this commercial spot of you have to sell only this menu because people want to go easy, just this. But then just imagine I have another restaurant where when you come here, you say nothing, I take care of everything. You let me know if you have any allergies, any preference, but carte blanche. It's like I take care of everything. So, and that's so, how I can say, the satisfaction of having this opportunity to express yourself, because certainly these activities are manual activities, you have a lot of work, but has this part of artistic expression, like you need to express yourself, and cooking, making wine is part of this. So let's say we don't know when you make a weird association. I was once at in a dinner, and I had the chutzpah of serving tomatoes and watermelon. And between us, this is weird, really weird. And I don't know if it was good or not, but until today, people are still talking about this.
It was good. I was there.
So
as a dessert. So just imagine having a dessert, tomatoes and watermelon.
as long as you salted it, I could see how that would be crazy good. I could see how that
was
could
good.
be
And
crazy.
I'm still stick into this idea of having building something from this yesod, from this base. So you need, because cooking and now wine is like, there's no limits, literally no limits. If you have a good pool of techniques, you have to have techniques. It's not like I want to become winemaker tomorrow and then I mix stuff and that's it. No, you have to have techniques. If you have a good pool of techniques,
Yeah, you have to build it over a period of time.
and you have a good list of terroir ingredients.
Yeah.
And then you just connect that, this with this, this with this. Let's try what's happened. And then, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible.
Nothing's easy. I mean, well, I can't say nothing's easy, but there are some things. But the things that are worthwhile waiting for and experiencing are not easy.
They're
awesome.
complex.
Do you have a favorite wine?
Ooh. Yes. I can say I have a bunch of...
Okay.
Lately, I've been drinking a rosé.
Okay.
This is from Maison Mercier,
Okay.
called Chateau Guerroir. You just love it. It's not expensive. Amazing wine. I have this. I'm very close with Benjamin Husson and Rolf Madet. So I love the Clos de Lune white.
Yeah.
Pouilly Fumé and Sancerre
It's crazy.
are the best.
Yeah. So you like white?
I like white.
Yeah.
I like white wine. I love red. If I say Smith of Lafitte, if I have the big names, everybody
likes it.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of wine. So, but each wine has their own personality. It's like I cannot say who is your favorite person in the world.
Yeah.
You have a bunch, like 5 or 10 friends that you love, all of them. So, me and the wine is the same history. So this was what we get for the hag. What shall you get?
Yeah, the Silex. I was going to ask you whether it was a Silex. That's really, that's an awesome. What's your favorite pairing? I can't, is there a pairing that you've done that you thought was just really awesome?
Okay.
I promise I'm almost out of questions.
No, it's okay. I have to tell you something. I love experimenting.
Yeah, experimenting.
Just imagine you finish tired, sending 100 covers. You are completely exhausted, but your brain is still working. And then your body is go to sleep, but your brain is no, you have to do something. You are in the best shape because all the adrenaline is in your body, and then your brain want to. And then I arrive home, and then I start to test me on my own, bunch of alcohols, and bunch of spices, paprika, garlic, dry garlic, black pepper, lime, lemon, orange. And then try this with this, this with this, this with this. And in the same spirit of tequila, I discover, for me, I get, not related to wine, I don't know if you know the rum Diplomatico.
Mm-hmm.
I get Diplomatico with black pepper. Black pepper is a thermogen. It's heat your and lime. So you have something that really heat, and then...
What we call lemon, or what you call lime?
Lemon, yes. What you call lemon.
Yeah.
So, all the aromas, all the flavors of the Diplomatico are gonna become deeper because of the black pepper. Black pepper is not just there to make this spicy is hot.
No, it's, yes.
Why we drink wine when you are eating? That we have to understand why. Wine has alcohol and has flavor. So each time that you're eating your very big steak that is fatty with a very good sauce and demi-glace who has a lot of flavor and a lot of fat doesn't go with water. So the flavor of the sauce is going to stick in your mouth because of the fat, because of the oil. So the only way to clean up your palate is with something that dilute
Yeah, the
fat. And
that's why these acidic wines are perfect.
Alcohol and acidity. And then you clean up, you have a great bite of your steak. I like it. Deep in your sauce. And then you take a drop of your wine, good wine. Then your wine is going to bring more information, but at the same time it's going to clean up your palate. And then you are going to be ready to rediscover your meat. So the same meat is going to be just increasing on flavor, on textures, on experience. So all this association, this is it's not because it's fancy with drinking wine with food. It's because it's the whole ikar, the whole inyan is to rediscover. You go back and forward. You rediscover your food, and then you rediscover your wine, and then your brain is like tac 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 tac. I use always tac tac chick chack on cuisine. We use a lot of monoterms. I don't know how you say that. So the pairing I discover between the thermogenesis of the black pepper, the acidity of the lime or lemon.
Yep.
And the flavor of the rum was just crazy.
Have you ever met Luis from Taco Luis?
It's my good friend Luis.
He's also one of my best friends. What a tzaddik.
He is
what
amazing.
A tzaddik.
He is amazing, and the food is amazing.
I know. He also
first time. I'm not lying. The first place we're going to eat each time I come to Israel, Tacos Luis. It's good. Yeah. It's good. Especially the tongue tacos is very good. Very good. Mucha tequila. A lot of tequila there.
He's the one who taught me about tequila, especially about real tequila. So, very Shaya, what's your favorite wine? Now I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have a favorite?
I was loving that, Sincere for the grapefruit, and now I'm finding out that that's a pretty basic take.
No, it's not a basic take. Wait. Like the Poulet has also, it's got a smokiness to it, but it's also got citrusy takes on it. There's a number of wines that have that, but the reason
because it's the easiest thing that you can identify. So it's like it's nothing to do with this thing.
It's not bad about the wine.
Yeah,
but I'm telling you, in that experience, I remember tasting this wine, and it was loquats and crazy Oriental stuff, and I went, "Whoa! How can they put that in a wine? I mean, like, how could they create all of those memories and thoughts in my brain by just sipping this wine?" It's like crazy. That's one of the things that food and wine both do. You taste them, and all of a sudden, if you might remember where you tasted food like this the last time, and it could be half a world away. So it's like it brings back. It's incredible. Smells and tastes just kick your brain into
travel through time.
Yeah, totally. Much more than words could ever do, or even sounds could do. Those sounds work pretty well too, but yeah, certainly even much more than your eyes. So
wine touched those boxes that Jacob Uriah
was talking about.
Yes.
Thank you. I've taken a huge amount of your time, but I thank you very much for being on the Kosher Terroir, and I look forward to another episode. Okay?
100%.
I really look forward.
We really enjoy the company, the wine,
pleasure,
the ambience.
Pleasure, real pleasure. Shalom ubracha.
Will you do a recap episode of your food tasting, your wine and food pairing?
I would love to. Well, why not? That's a great idea to do it there.
And listen,
Yeah.
we're still, Sukkot is just beginning.
Yes.
We still have time to get some fun cooking and
Yes.
drinking.
That's true. That's
Today.
true. Even today. Even today. So I look forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Kosher Terroir. It was exciting and educational for me too. Please subscribe via your podcast provider to be informed of our new episodes as they are released. If you're new to the Kosher Terroir, please check out our many past episodes. Again, thank you for listening to the Kosher Terroir.